What's up, guys? We are back. It's Anthony Bevilacqua along with Jimmy McCurry, the #1 podcast to teach gym owners how to bring home 20K plus per month in profit. We're helping you build that cash room. And today we're going to be talking about creating your six-figure sales script for your training business. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of times I've talked to gym owners, seen what they do, and the phone rings and they are lost. Hello? There's no rhyme or reason behind what they're saying on the phone. So today we're going to be discussing everything phone call related, because if you can't pick up the phone and you can't close that person to the next step in your process, gym profits are down the tubes. But what's up, Big Jimmy? How we doing?
Good, man. It's a good day. It's a good day to be a profitable gym owner, I have to say.
So sales scripts, man. I know This doesn't sound too exciting, but I can't even begin to tell you how much of a game changer it was to have a sales script in my possession in the beginning. I mean, it's actually funny because one time we were in the car together, and this is like when I first met Jimmy. We're in the car together, and I get a phone call to the gym line, and I literally whip out my notes because I have my sales script in my phone and my notes, so I always have it with me. And I run through the sales script with the guy on the phone. Jimmy's next to me. Jimmy's like just quiet, listening in. And I hung up the phone. I booked the appointment, and Jimmy goes, "That was pretty good."
Yeah.
But the key is this sales script keeps you in flow, and you have to be able to have structure. Just the same way we give clients macros and teach them about nutrition and teach them about the importance of exercise and the importance of training and structure to their training, you have to have the same thing when it comes to your sales calls and everything like that. It has to be kind of robotic and the same. And having that script laid out in front of you will allow you to, one, qualify your prospect, and two, allow you to stay on track and stay on that flow. So this way you don't lose trains of thought. Listen, we've always been on the phone with people and it kind of goes sideways, the conversation, and you lose your train of thought. Maybe you forget to qualify them for this or that. But the most important thing with the script is it keeps those sales calls the same. And you want them to always be the same, because then, now if I'm not doing the call, I can pass my phone to Jimmy and say, "Jimmy, I'm taking off today. I'm going to go on the beach and lie down. Here's my script. Here's my phone. You have at it." And that's the way you scale yourself kind of in your business. And this way you create reliable systems that you can use. But Jimmy, I want to hear your background, because I don't know this answer. So what's your background when it comes to scripting out sales scripts? Have you always had them? I know you have them now, but give me a little bit of background.
Well, for the longest time, right, as an owner and as the main salesperson, because all you guys that are listening to this, if you're the owner, you're likely the main salesperson at your facility, right? For the longest time, I just kind of built the knack for it. I was like, okay, I kind of know what track I want to take this person down. I kind of know where I want to be with them. And it wasn't until the point where I needed to offload this part of my business to somebody else that I realized I needed an ironclad script to follow, right? And when I was in building that script, I realized that there were some pitfalls in my own ability to do it because I didn't follow the same process all the time. So I couldn't look at ways to improve that process because it changed depending on what the client said. And it's still going to change a little bit depending on what the client says, even with a script, because you're going to use it as a framework to a degree. But you have to have this structure, especially if you're going to have other people taking the calls for you. And to really scale, you need multiple people having that skill, right? You can't be the only person that can do that thing, because if you are, you will always be a slave to your business and you'll always be working in your business, right? And so for me, I didn't have sales scripts for a long time because of the fact that I was doing it all. So I was like, why would I build a script? It's all in my head, right? But once I had the script and you can follow the script, and I built it out and got some ideas from some other people that I was working with, it was like, oh, okay, now I can download this knowledge into my staff. And now I actually have a system to follow. So every time I have a call, I know where it falls off the rails and I know what I need to interject in that position of the conversation to get people across the buying line.
Yeah. We work with gyms and we help gyms with their sales system. So many times we've been on the phone with with other gyms and working with them with their sales scripts. And most of the time when I say sales scripts, it's very wrong. It's not correct. Because when I say scripts, people think it's like a movie script, like, okay, you're going to say these exact words. And that's not actually what it is. It's more of a framework. The goal of your sales script is to qualify the prospect, to move them to the next level. So most people, when they pick up the phone, they think that, okay, I'm selling this person personal training. Well, that's not what you're doing. You're actually selling them on the next step. So for us, our thing is we text them or we try to get them on the phone, then we schedule a phone call. Then from the phone call, we schedule our assessments. And that's when we sell them training. So the phone call portion of it, the goal of the phone call is to schedule them for that assessment. So we're trying to sell the assessment. We're not trying to sell them on training. And I'm not giving you a script to say, okay, say this, say this, say this. It's not that. You're qualifying that prospect to see if they are able to purchase the assessment and able to purchase your training. So the things that you're qualifying them for, what we qualify them for is one time. What time do they want to come in? Does this person want to train at 4 a.m.? We're not open at 4 a.m. and I can't do anything if somebody wants to train at 4 a.m. So time. Again, if our semi-private, and again, a good example in this is if our semi-privates start at 6:30 in the morning and somebody wants to come in at 6 o'clock a.m., I know, okay, if we're going to start at 6 a.m., this person needs one-on-one because I'm not making a group for them. So that's why we qualify for time. The next thing that we qualify them for is budget. Obviously, we want to make sure that they can afford training. So that's kind of a no-brainer one. The next one, when do they want to start? I can't even begin to tell you how many people I get on the phone. And when are you looking to start, Mrs. Jones? I'm going away in 2 weeks, so I want to start the beginning of September. So again, now I know, okay, this person wants to start then. So now I know I could push the assessment back and maybe do a follow-up in the middle. So this way they keep the lead warm. But if I tried to book that person today, even if they came into my facility, they would still tell me that same excuse. Oh, I'm going away in 2 weeks, so I want to start in 2 weeks. So then that's going to give them resistance when it comes to purchasing. And then I also qualify them for the decision maker. So we always kind of ask the question, are you doing this for yourself? Or, do you need, I forget, what's the exact question we ask? Embarrassing. I don't remember the question. I haven't done a sales call in such a long time, but basically we just ask them like, hey, is anybody going to help you make this decision? Or are you on a secret solo mission? That's kind of what we ask them, right. Because we want to, again, qualify them. Yeah, I have to talk to my husband about it. All right, Mrs. Jones, well then, if you need to talk to your husband, why don't you bring your husband in with you? So this way he can understand the process that you're going to go through. But this way I know those objections that I'm going to get. So this way, when I sit with them during the assessment and Mrs. Jones says, I have to talk to my husband, I'm not surprised by that because she told me that.
Right.
And then you can work through the objection there. But that is the purpose of the actual phone call. The phone call's purpose is to sell them on the assessment, but you have to qualify them to get to that. Because your job is not to turn a no, I got the saying, I think I got this from Jordan Belfort. Your job is not to turn the no into a yes. Your job is to turn the maybe into a yes.
Exactly.
So if someone's not qualified and they can't actually buy, then you can't do anything. If somebody genuinely can't afford your training, and that's a whole nother topic, but just to say someone genuinely can't afford it, how could you make that person buy? You can't. But your job is to turn that maybe into a yes. And the way you do that is to make sure they're qualified.
Exactly. And you have to think about, as important as qualifying, and qualifying them is very important, right? The other aspect of the sales call that you want to think about is how much value can you build in that 10-minute phone call, right? You can build some, right? But you're not going to build as much value as you're going to be able to when you sit down with them and actually like walk them through your process, or either sit down with them, or if you do it over Zoom or however you sell, right? But the goal of the phone call is to sell them on what the result of working with you is going to look like, right? Not the bells and whistles, not that you're kettlebell certified or that you have your CSCS or that you have a structured evaluation system that's going to help your member feel good or whatever it is. It's nothing about your system, your school of training, the type of trainer you are, the equipment that you have. None of that shit makes any difference, right? What makes a difference to the client on the phone is that you ask them about their specific struggles, you hear them out, and you validate their emotions around where they are, not agree with them. but validate their emotions around where they are in their fitness journey and tell them that you're there to help them, because that makes them much more open to receiving your help. So the purpose of the phone call is really twofold. Everything that Anthony was saying, right? You need to qualify them to make sure that they're a fit for your facility, but you also need to build value in that you are a trusted advisor and they know, like, and trust you after talking to you on the phone for 10 minutes, right? And there's different ways you can do that, but the best way to do that is to listen, right?
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that most of the time, what Jimmy's saying, and if you're listening to what he's saying, you're going to be like, okay, I have to talk to them and tell them like, hey, I'm the best. And no, you actually do that the opposite by not talking.
Right.
So listening is actually more important in building that, making you, it's about asking questions and listening.
I mean, this is for the guys out there, but maybe the single guys, right? We're not anymore, but the guys out there, right? It's like dating. You can take a lot of sales and you can relate it to dating, right? Like if you're on a date with a girl and all you're doing is sitting there talking about yourself, she's not going to ask you out for a second date, right? You're not getting a second date with that girl.
Yeah.
She wants to talk about herself and she wants you to be interested in who she is. And that's how you get people to like you. And in 10 minutes on the phone, you have to get this person to like, know, and trust you enough to actually show up for the appointment, right? Because that's all we're trying to do, is to get them from the phone where they said, hey, I need help, to schedule the appointment and actually show up for it, right? That's the only goal of the phone conversation. So it's enough to say, hey, would you like to go out to dinner with me? Well, if that's all you say on the phone, they're probably not going to go out to dinner with you. But if you say, hey, where would you like to go to dinner? What do you look at? What kind of food do you like to eat? And, oh yeah, I know this great place that makes this great X thing that you want. In your case, it's health, fitness, injury prevention, fat loss, feeling great, keeping up with their grandkids, whatever the result is. Yes, we've had X client. And one of the things that you can implement, this is a little bit of a rabbit hole offshoot, but on the phone, one of the things you can implement is what we call TPV stories, third-party verification stories, where they say they're running into some sort of issue. And you say, oh, we had Jenny in the gym. You remind me a lot of Jenny. She actually just lost 50 pounds and can deadlift 300 or whatever it is that she's been able to accomplish. And she started out just like you. I'm so excited to meet with you, right? How much more inviting is that than saying, I have a degree in exercise science, right? They don't care. They don't care.
Well, again, like I said, we work with so many different gyms and we work with their sales, with salespeople, and we talk to their salespeople to help their salespeople become basically sharks and crush it. I mean, and the proof is in the pudding for the trainers that we have. One of our trainers, not our trainers, one of the gyms that we work with trainers, sold over 30 clients, in 1 month, just from the training that we're doing with them. But one of the things that we always explain to them is, listen, look, your job is not to sell the ins and outs of what you do. So let's say I use the example with them all the time. This is the example I use. Let's say I went into Best Buy and I needed a computer so I could play video games on my computer, I don't know, whatever, or watch movies on my computer, right? So I go into Best Buy, I walk up to the salesperson, I say, hey, I need a computer that allows me to play videos in 4K. And the salesperson goes, well, I have this computer that has 10,000 megabytes of RAM plus 3 gigs of video hard drive and this. I don't even know what he's talking about. I just want a computer that plays the video. Like, I want a good computer that plays 4K. Whereas if he would have told me, I have the perfect computer for you. In fact, Jimmy was just in here. He wanted the same thing. This is the computer he bought. It plays videos in 4K and look how beautiful the screen is. That's it. What's going to sell me more, that or the ins and outs of the program? The ins and outs of the program don't even matter. No. And that's the funny thing is, and what I explain to all the salespeople on these calls that we do is, guys, listen, look, if you're talking about your system, you come in twice a week, 3 times a week, and we do 30-minute sessions and an hour session, and we have kettlebells. The clients don't even know what any of that means or knows what that is. So now, because they don't know, they're just going to ask questions because they don't know, and they're turning themselves. The clients are actually going to turn themselves away because they're going to get confused. So, for example, if I didn't know what a kettlebell was, and then they're telling me, so, okay, what's a kettlebell? Well, the kettlebell, you take it and you swing it. Oh, that's going to be bad for my back. This place is not for me.
100%.
So you're actually, the more you talk about your services and things that you do in that way, the more you're going to lose the client,
100%.
potential client.
The confused prospect never buys.
Never, ever.
The confused prospect never buys. And I want to backtrack 1 second, because when Anthony said, when he changed his sale of the computer or the TV or whatever it was, up to the actual sale that related to that client, if you play that back, guys, and you feel the difference, if you assume yourself in that sales seat and you feel the difference in how you felt about that product, when he said it's got all this shit, when he said it's got all this stuff, right? You feel kind of dumb. Like you feel like an idiot because you're like, I don't know what that is, right? Like you feel like the person's patronizing you almost, right? Like, oh, well, you don't understand what RAM or whatever, like da 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 da. But when he said, oh, I've got the perfect product exactly that does exactly what you want it to do, and look at this beautiful screen. Like you're feeling internally, even though he's not selling you, if you're just watching it like I was, your feeling internally is like, oh, I want that freaking computer, you know? But before you're like, I'm confused. I don't know. You need to explain all this more to me, which we don't want to be in the business of doing, because we don't need to explain everything. We just need to help them get their results, right?
I heard a good quote. I don't remember who said it, so I'm going to totally dismantle it because I don't remember who said it. Sure. But the point of it was, you shouldn't actually explain to anyone the ins and outs of anything with training until after they buy. Correct. Because up until that point, it doesn't even matter, because there's no reason to explain anything until after they buy. So, and I think that is very true. You shouldn't be explaining, like we get it all the time because we sell a customized meal plan and all that stuff with our training. What does the meal plan look like? Doesn't matter what it looks like. You got to follow it. So we try to, we answer the question, but we don't really answer the question. Like we kind of give like, oh, it's very easy to follow. We make it customized to you. It has all different choices on there. So tell me, when was the last time you followed a customized meal plan? Like you kind of always like answer the question, but then revert it back to another question. Because again, if I went into detail and I said, yeah, Jimmy, this meal plan has, you know, egg whites on it and chicken and steak. And then you could also have some carbs with it, sweet potatoes and this, then you're going to get that person. I don't like sweet potatoes. This is not going to work.
Right. Exactly.
And it's just going to blow the sale. So there's no reason to explain or teach them anything until after they buy.
Exactly. And it's just one of these things where you can, and you saw how Anthony did that, where he turns around the question to ask another question so that that person is now sharing more information about what they've struggled with. Because part of this conversation is them admitting that they have a problem, right? And admitting to you what the specifics of that problem are, so that you can present them with the 4K TV with the beautiful picture, and not all the ins and outs of the macros and the training and all this stuff that doesn't make any difference. Even though we understand the science about it, we're passionate about it. What makes the most difference is saying, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I totally understand your pain. This person experienced a great result with us doing XYZ. This is the program they followed. This is the program I'd recommend for you.
Yep.
Nothing about barbells, kettlebells, dumbbells, macros, heart rate. Doesn't matter. None of it matters. And you don't really even have to share that with your clients ever. But if they're interested and you start sharing the ins and outs and start asking questions about it after they become a client, you have that knowledge and you can geek out on it all you want.
Right.
But and when you are an acquisition specialist, none of that stuff makes any difference.
Couldn't agree more. But this is why it's so important to have all this stuff scripted out. This is why we help gyms with this. And this is honestly the missing element to most of these gyms, because everybody wants leads. Oh, if I could just have more leads, if I could just have more leads. But if we get you 150 leads next month and you close one, that doesn't do you anything. But if you got that same 150 leads and you closed 75 of them, that's a big difference, and your business is going to move in a tremendous way by doing that. But that boils down to your sales system, period. Your sales scripting that you're having, the assessment process, that all has to be scripted. Every step of your sales system must be scripted. It can't be winged. It can't be just willy-nilly doing whatever you want to do. If you want a reliable business that's going to feed you profits, and that's what your business should ultimately do, feed you back to profits like an ATM, you need to have that structured sales system. Because again, it doesn't matter how many leads. You know, it's funny because I was actually having this conversation with a gym owner the other day, and he's like, well, I really don't know if I can afford this because, we don't really get that many leads in. He said, well, how many leads do you get in a month? Probably about 20 leads. Okay. So you get 20 leads. How many of those leads are you closing? About 5. Say, okay, well, if you sign up with us and we help you go from 5 to 10 or even to 15 out of those same 20 or however many leads you were getting, don't you think that's going to make a big difference in your business? So yes, your sales system is going to be the most important thing because it's how you interact with your customers, your potential customers. So this is why you have to have this system down. This is why I wholeheartedly believe in sales frameworks, not scripts. I keep saying scripts because everyone knows what a script is, but it's definitely a framework versus a script.
Definitely a framework. And when you train your staff on it, if you work with our system and we train your staff on it, we'll train them up on kind of the scripting first, but then they really have to shy away from reading it verbatim because people fall into that trap, right?
Yeah.
So avoid falling into that trap where you're just reading it, because it's not about reading it. It's about molding yourself within the framework to actually have a conversation with a client where you're helping them get to a point where they're making a good decision for themselves is really the goal.
It's funny. This is a little rabbit hole tangent here. So
Sure.
We work with one gym. This guy's just starting out and he's a brand new guy to selling. So it's one of his salespeople. It's his first time ever selling. And we created his script for him. So he's reading the script and he says, hey, this is Greg. I'm calling from XYZ gym. But I must have went with him about 10 minutes on just that first introductory sentence because he was following the script directly. And the script said, hey, this is Greg, comma. So he paused from blah, blah, blah. But that pause sounded so robotic on the call. I'm like, Greg, say that again. Say that again. Say that again. And I didn't realize there was a comma there. I'm like, Greg, take the comma out. Hey, this is Greg calling from XYZ gym. It sounded so much better and less scripted because he was following the comma. Right. So it just goes to show that you have to, again, it's a framework, not a script. Because like Jimmy said, if they're reading it, they're going to sound robotic and people are going to be like, this is ridiculous and hang up.
Exactly. So iron out your sales scripts, guys. If you need more help with them, you know where to find us. Link in bio or wherever it is, I don't know. But
link below, just figure it out. You guys
figure it out. There's a link somewhere.
Smart.
There's a link somewhere. But if you need help running through those and customizing those for your gym specifically, we're more than happy to help. And we have some resources for you to take advantage of.
All right, guys. Anthony and Jimmy, and we're out.